another episode of the program Improve Seeds on your darling agricultural television in the capital city of Abuja, Nigeria. I am Hilda Homsem Fantwam. As you can see, I am somewhere where the young men, my guests, and his co-workers are doing well to add to food security in the country. And I tell you, today is going to be an interesting topic that we are going to discuss, and I assure you that you will have something to take back home. It proceeds on ARCN television, and I'll be right back to tell you because we are on the farm of Cabbage. Yes, don't go anywhere. We'll come back and tell you more about Cabbage. Barista SPP, commonly known as cabbage, is a cool weather vegetable that is good for harvest of its edible leaves. The seeds are generally sown in a seed bed, and the 4 to 6 weeks old seedlings are transplanted to the field. Cabbage seeds are sown on nursery beds to raise seedlings for transplanting. The beds are of sizes of 3 to 0.6 millimeters and 10 to 15 centimeters in height. Cabbage seedlings are a thin taproot and coordinate a heart-shaped cotyledons. The first leaf produce are ovate egg shape with a lumped petioles. Most cabbage have thick alternating leaves with margin that range from wavy or lumped to highly dissected. Some varieties have a waxy blunt on the leaves. The plant have root system that are fibrous and shallow. Cabbage comes in different colors and sizing, ranging from a leafy green, red or purple, white or pale green. A perennial plant grown as an annual vegetable crop. For its distant-leaved head, it is descended from the wild cabbage. A cabbage weighs generally between 500 and 1,000 grams. It has smooth-leafed, firm-headed green cabbage are the most common. The plant is best when grown in a well-drained soil in a location that receives full sun, with different varieties which prefer different soil types, ranging from lighter sand to heavier clay, but all prefer fertile ground with a pH between 6.0 and 6.8, and for the optimal growth, adequate levels of nitrogen, especially during the early head formation stage, and sufficient phosphorus and potassium at the maturity stage. Temperature ranging between 4 and 24 centigrades is best for its growth, and its extended period of higher or lower temperatures may result in premature bolting, that is flowering. Vernalization allows the plant to grow to an adequate size before flowering. In certain climates, cabbage can be planted at the beginning of the cool period and survives until a later warm period without being induced to flower, a practice that can be common in most eastern parts of the world. There are several types of cabbages which vary from the green, white, Dutch, red, spring green, and they possess different characteristics. Some of the benefits of cabbage in the human bodies are: a cabbage contains a gram of fiber, which fills you up and keeps the blood sugar regular. It also has nutrients that keeps the lining of your stomach and intestines strong. It serves as an antioxidant, which protects the body from damage caused by free radicals. Cabbage is especially high in vitamin C, a potent antioxidant that may protect against heart disease, certain cancers, vision loss, improve eyes, teeth, bone, and of course your immune health. Cabbage nutrients get destroyed when it's cooked, so it's best taken when it's raw. It retains more of the antioxidant vitamins. back. Before we went on the break, I told you that today we're going to talk about cabbage, and I'm already at middle of the cabbage farm. And my guest is Alaji, young farmer Bashiru Rabiu. How you doing? Good afternoon.
Everything.
How you doing?
Alhamdulillah.
Yes. How is farm and everything? Well, then cabbage.
Is this cabbage? And what kind of species are these?
There are different kind of cabbages in varieties. There is royal, there is travel,
Ozola.
there is ozalem.
Okay. Kuma duka irin su
Do we
cabbage din
cultivate all these in Nigeria?
Yes, we all cultivate them in Nigeria.
And then what kind of soil or best soil can we use to cultivate to get good yielding?
The best soil that will give you good cabbage in Nigeria, you need the loamy soil, maybe the clay soil, and then their likes.
And do they all grow here in Nigeria?
You can also grow tomato, carrots, and all perishables. But if you don't get a good soil, be rest assured that you will not get a good yield. You'll see it growing with some sort of problems because the soil is not fertile enough to give a good product.
So what type of cabbage is this?
This is the royal cabbage. Because we are in the heat period, when it's not heat period, that's when we can put the other types. But for now, this is the only one that is best for this weather during the hot season. But you see, the other ones prefer the cold season. But when the weather is hot like this, we only use Ozolam, or rather Royal.
So does that mean that this royal likes this season?
But for Royal, it can actually play the cold season and hot season. So it's best we use Royal.
Why did you call it royal?
They call it Royal because it stays for like 3 months. This one, it takes like 3 months or even more than a bit if it's not well taken care of.
So there is Auslan and other types of cabbages are okay in the other seasons?
It does like 2 months or 3 weeks. But for this one, it exceeds then if it's not taken care of. But if it's been taken care of, it stays like 3 months.
So what is the measurement for a layman? Can you use your feet to measure it?
What I would say is just like a step away from the other leg. That is just a feet away. If you don't do it that way, you won't get what you want. What we use are basically insecticides that are organic as well. The neem extract is what we use as our insecticide or herbicide.
And then that for the plowing, it depends on how the land is. There are flat lands and there are high lands, but as long as it's going to give the vegetable good yielding, you can just plow your place like the way they've done. It's a little bit high and they will have it, but it starts from the nursery. Now, you first of all have the nursery plant, you get the seeds and you sprinkle it, right? You sprinkle it, and when they germinate, you now uproot it and now replant it.
Sometimes it gets to 3 months, but it depends on how you take good care of it. Some doesn't get that long and some does. But if it's being taken care of properly, it doesn't get up to 3 months.
Once you have the seeds and just sprinkle them, within a month they grow and then you take it back to the permanent site. This is still improved seeds on your first agricultural television. I guess you are really catching up and you're learning now the different types of cabbage, the best weather for it. And it's said in Nigeria you can grow all because there are some that are best grown in the northern and other in the southern part, depending on your climate condition of your region. So for them, this is the right season where they have the royal. We'll be right back where we continue and he will tell us more about it, more about the pests and diseases, and of course let's see the reason why they are all put together. Now know the centimeters that is needed for cabbage to be grown and planted. This is still improved seeds on your agricultural television. We'll be right back. This is still Improved Seeds or your first agricultural television. And before we went on the break, I actually told you that I am on the cabbage farm, and here is Bashir is really giving us an insight on the cultivation of cabbage. This is a royal type of cabbage. There are other types of cabbage. And he told us that the reason why they have this now is because of the weather. It is warm because it cannot grow and yield well where there is cold weather, and that's why they have it here. And they call it royal because if you see it, it comes in crown and the cycle, the crown, the royal form. That is why it's called royal cabbage. And then of course it comes from the nursery where it takes a month before they transplant it into the main farm. Now we can see that it's sprouting white.
In cultivating this, what are the measurements in both the white and the heat of the ridge when planting this cabbage?
The best way to actually get the measurements when planting is that what you see is the gap is actually a very technical work that you need to learn how to do it, because if you don't know how to do it you might make some mistakes, so you have to learn it holistically. If you don't do it properly, the cabbage will not spread the way you want. There is a specific gap in which you must give before you plant. If you don't give the gas properly without learning it, you don't know how to do it. For me, what I use is just like if a feet, like just a feet or a step away from the other feet. That is the best way to plant. If not so, it will not grow the way it ought to.
So now for a farmer to get this, you use 1 feet apart so that it can be able to open and grow well, right? Yes. Okay, so that it can open, and then you must learn it that you must be careful so that it will not overlap itself, so that the leaves or the arms can sprout very well. Okay. Yes. So now this, do you use fertilizer? Do you use? I know it's organic.
We don't use inorganic fertilizer. What we use is strictly organic fertilizer, the cow dung and the chicken dung. That's what we use. In fact, even the insecticide we spray, they are not inorganic, they are organic because we get the neem extract. That is what we use to spray on the farm. The neem tree extract is what we use.
All right. On the farm is organic. They don't do any inorganic here. What they use cow dung, chicken dung to apply. And for the pesticides, they use neem tree. They cut neem tree, added it to knapsack, and they spread it. Here is pure organic, and that is what they are advocating for better health, for better cabbage. You can consume it anytime. And of course, you have to be cautious of the measurement that is doing. So now, you said this will take us 3 months, right? So that we'll harvest it.
Once it's 3 months, you start expecting harvest, but depends on how taken care it is. Some, like I told you earlier on, gets to 3 months, some do not get to 3 months. But if you properly take good care of it, before 3 months, you start harvesting your cabbage.
Depends on how you take good care of the cabbage. Sometimes it takes 3, sometimes even less than 3, sometimes above 3 months. Depends on how you take good care of the farm, right? Yes. So now tell us, how do we see and identify a cabbage that is mature?
When the cabbage is right for harvesting, you will understand because you will see from its body around it, it all covers. The leaves outside covers the whole inside, because some grow big, some grow small. And the beautiful thing about it is they grow in installment, because we remove the ones that are ready and then leave the ones that are not ready. As soon as it's ready, you would easily identify it because it's obvious for you to see that it's ready for harvest.
Now, the cabbage will be ready for harvest from the bulk itself. The bulk itself. The leaves here will all wrap, but not all. But you see that the ball is ready to be harvested. And they don't harvest cabbage at the same time. They pick the mature ones and harvest and come back and harvest and reharvest until it is done. It shows itself when it's ready to be harvested. And it takes 3 months or beyond or less than 3 months, depending on the harvesting or the on the treatment and the way we manage the farm, right? How do you identify when the leaf is affected, and how do you control it?
Some farmers can identify a disease because they don't know it. Like our farmers, some understand not everyone cultivates cabbage, but some who involve in dry season farming, they do watermelon, they do pepper, some do other things. It depends on what you do. For us that we are experts in cabbage, if though even though you are new in it, before you go into it, you need to ask people who have been in it for some time. Because if you don't know how it works, you will not do it. Even if you do it, you call those who know how it's done.
What are some of the diseases, common diseases that affect cabbage production? And when you just see it, when a farmer sees it, he can identify.
Some farmers do know, and some do not know what kind of disease that is in their farm because it's not their thing. Because not every farmer knows those things. Those who do the dry season farming, they usually know. And some do the watermelon, some do the pepper, some do others. It depends on what you do. But for us who are cabbage farmers, even if you are a newcomer, before you venture into it, you need to get consultations from those who have gone ahead of you. Because if you don't, because even if you do, you might end up still having some problem.
So now for the farmer, if you want to learn, does that mean that you teach us how to learn, or must we go through training?
Yes, you're being taught on how it works. They will tell you what it's needed and what it's not needed. You will be trained well so you will know how it works. Because if you are not properly mentored, you might have problem.
All right, so you must be very careful in the identification of the pests and diseases. He said that there are different types of farmers. That is the dry season farming and the rainy season farming. So each of the seasons have their particular disease and pest, and of course you must identify it by meeting an expert who will highlight the diseases, and then he will advise or prescribe the right drugs for the pests and diseases, the right herbicides for the pests and disease. So it's not all disease that comes in the dry season, and it's not all that come and appear at the rainy season. So you must meet an expert who is going to highlight and educate you on it. But then the most important thing is that they use improved varieties of seeds because it is pest resistance, and because it's pest resistant and it's organic, they try as much as possible to use organic herbicides such as neem to spray on the affected crops. But with proper care, you don't need to face all these challenges.
So how is the market value? How do you dispose this when it's ready to be sold?
The way we market cabbage once it's ready, even if you're going to buy it in bulk, they buy it in bulk. Some will buy in sacks by counting some number of heads and then put them in the sack. And sometimes it's very, very expensive, while sometimes it's not. But when it's expensive, you tend to see you having competitors who want to buy it. And we basically sell it for the highest bidder. Because everyone will say, I buy it for this, and then the other will buy it the other. So the highest bidder is who gets it.
For the marketing, it depends. Yes. But a customer or yes, a buyer will have to buy the whole farm. They don't pull it and pay and sell rather. Yes. But rather they buy the whole farm. And if they don't want to buy the whole farm, they harvest it and bag it. Then customers come and pick it per bag. Yes. And then of course it's highest bidder, because all of them are out to make profit, and so the highest bidder gets the plan. And initially he said that they don't harvest all, but in this case, if they want to dispose it, they dispose the whole farm. Yes. And it depends on your luck. Yeah. Farming is luck, right?
We can cultivate this in sacks and in bags, right?
Yes, you can do sack farming in it. Before you farm it in a sack, it depends on how good the soil you are putting in the bag. Because if the soil is not right, be rest assured that you won't get a good yield because it doesn't peak on every soil. It's either it doesn't sprout out, or even if it does, it end up having some disease. And then if you put it on a nylon, like a polythene, it would not grow. And then it will not grow because it's in a nylon. So you tend to be suffering yourself trying to see it sprout, but be rest assured that nothing will happen after spending so much money trying to make it work. It will not work.
If you plant it in bags or polythenes or bags or buckets as we do now, if you don't have the right soil, you don't get it. So it's preferable you have your land from your nursery to a small space. Even the house is small, just dig it and have a natural ground for the cabbage plant, because it needs to sprout, it needs to develop, it needs to have natural nutrient. And if you are not an expert, you will not know, you will not get the right soil for the cabbage. We can talk more and more, and I tell you that it's never a dull moment with agricultural television, and of course improve seeds, because we are always ready to highlight and let you know of new varieties of crops and seeds. If you want to watch, you want to learn more, follow us on our YouTube account, and we have more interesting topics coming up. Keep a date with us because we have much to let you know. I am Hilda Homself Fantuam, and I thank you so much, Bashir, for being part of the program. And we're coming back here to harvest it. Thank you so much again for being part of the program. I urge you to watch and add to hunger security. We need to put our hands on deck to see that we eradicate hunger in this country, and it starts here. Do well and keep watching ARCN television. Bye from all of us.